Of Superman here in Metropolis. We are indeed privileged to have Mr. George Newbern with us today, and I want to introduce his moderator, John Glittner. John, go ahead, buddy.
That was a fine introduction. That is in no way insinuating that I get top billing.
Don't drop it.
Comic relief. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Well, hello, everybody. My name is John Glittner, and that's enough about me, because I'm not who you're here to see. So let's get on with it, shall we, with a short but proper introduction. Today we are here to have a question and answer period with the gentleman who portrayed Charlie on the TV series Scandal. He appeared with Steve Martin and others in Father of the Bride 1 and 2 as Brian McKenzie. And I think at least 4 of you remember him as Clark Kent and Superman in various forms for DC animated films and TV shows, etc., etc. So let's ride that applause and please welcome to the stage Mr. George Newbern.
Thanks, Gleckler. Mr. Gleckler. I want to say that name about 100 times today.
Can I get my voicemail that way?
Yes, you can.
Okay. We'll be back.
All right,
in a
so
minute.
hold on.
Technical
They had it sort of set like I was going to bring a guitar out.
I'm not hearing it.
Little doing banjos, little deliverance.
Well, welcome, sir.
Yeah, good to be here.
Have an opening statement, if you will, while I gather.
Wow, an opening statement. First of all, I've never been to Metropolis, and it's a lovely, lovely city, and you guys are so lovely to come out here. I'm from Arkansas originally, so I look out my window at the hotel. I think I'm looking at the Arkansas River, but it's the Ohio River, which is confusing to me. But it's a beautiful country out here. You guys are lucky to be here. So.
Yeah, and this, as far as it goes, is like a really mild day.
Yeah, no, I know. I remember growing up in Arkansas. This is not August. Thank God. Yeah.
Well, I've got my first question for you, which is sort of a roundabout. I think it's interesting that all 3 of our celebrity guests this year have a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 6 degrees of separation with Steve Martin.
Oh, with Steve Martin. Really?
Steve
Oh, so Tom Welling was. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you've got Tom Welling with Cheaper by the Dozen.
Right.
Michael Rosenbaum with Bringing Down the House. And you, sir, with Father of the Bride.
Yes, I didn't know Bringing Down the House, though. I didn't know, what was that?
It was Steve Martin and Queen Latifah, and Michael was a lawyer in the company.
Gosh,
and there's a joke I'm not going to do involving a glass of water and separating 2 halves of a word. You can ask him when you see him.
Okay, yeah.
But that was my way of leading into having all work with Steve Martin.
Yes.
What would you say to Steve Martin as Mr. Mixia Spitlick?
Don't do that to me. What do you mean, as Mixel?
That's the one.
Mix. How do you say? Who can say that word the best? What is it? Mixia-spidlick, or I thought it's Mixipidlick.
I have an old record where he says Mixpatol.
Mixpatol. See, Mixie, that's good. As a matter of fact, I narrated a book about Superman, about all of the super. I should actually have that book out there. I did the audiobook version of it, and pardon? No, I'd have to look up the name of it, but it's I had to say Mixipedalic in the book, and I remember I got halfway through the book and someone said, you've been mispronouncing that word, and I had to go all the way back into the computer and figure out. But I actually had to say my name as the narrator saying, actor George Newbern was George Superman, Justice League. So it was very surreal to reference myself in a book.
Yeah. You get to do your own introduction.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Blame yourself if it goes wrong.
Exactly.
No, I wasn't actually in that. I forgot. So, but one of the other things you were in, which oddly enough, both other guests get to claim this role as well. You've all worked with Christopher Reeve.
We have. Yeah, I don't know what Michael and Tom Welling did.
Was the small episode, was Rosenbaum acting with him, or was it just Tom? Just Tom. Well, they were on the
So,
same
so
show.
Tom did. So Chris Reeve did do something on Smallville.
Mhm.
Two episodes.
He was a professor of some sort.
Yeah. Dr. Swan. Dr. Swan.
Yeah.
I did my second movie in Los Angeles when I got there. I was 22, and it was a remake of His Girl Friday with Burt Reynolds and Kathleen Turner and Chris Reeve. And I got to be in this movie, and all my scenes were with Chris Reeve and Burt Reynolds, and I was like, oh my God, I was starstruck. I couldn't believe that I got to. Mostly it was Superman. I couldn't believe that I got to hang out with Chris Reeve. And so yeah, we spent 3 months in Toronto and Chicago shooting on location, and it was surreal. And I asked him, I said, does it bother you that that you're so famous from Superman? I mean, I know because people must come up to him, and they did come up to him all the time. And he said, you know, at first it bothered me, but then I realized it's really great to be known for something that iconic and fun. That's kind of the way I feel about this doing the animation stuff, because it's just such a lovely, long acting part of my career.
So the recognition, I saw a clip on YouTube, and I've often felt this is probably something you understand immediately. A voice actor is Clark Kent until he opens his mouth, then he's Superman. There was a short video where you were in a airport.
Yeah.
You were at the ticket booth, and you just said, I got a connecting flight, and this guy's like, oh my gosh!
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's that, and then a couple of either Verizon tech on the phone. I was talking to, say, wait, is this George Newbern? How do you know that? There's something wrong with my phone. Superman. No, it was crazy. But and then the lady at the Delta counter, she just kind of looked at me like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't happen very often with other things, but that. People really have remembered that voice. That and Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. That's another.
So then you take that part of it, and I was going to ask you, and I've already got an answer. If you wore glasses when you were recording those lines back in the day for Superman.
I didn't wear glasses. I didn't need them then.
Did you?
Hello.
Did you feel compelled to put them on when you had to record Clark Kent?
No, I didn't. But sometimes I would do the arm pose. Sometimes just to get in that pose. Actually, it's a great pose. I've heard this from different psychologists that they call it a Superman pose.
Mm-hmm.
When you're feeling weak or when you're feeling kind of down about something, it's actually, they say get in a Superman pose with your chest out and just kind of sit that way for like 30 seconds and you immediately feel better. It's not just Superman. It's like a really great thing for your body. Just for your information.
Everybody now.
Everybody give me a Superman pose and everyone feeling good and good. We could all use the Superman pose, right?
Yeah. So we don't have time for that. Let me ask you about some of the emotional aspects of being a voice actor. In particular, for the man who has everything, when you have to tell Van he doesn't exist. Did you just muscle that one out as an actor, or did you draw from something?
Well, I mean, with anything that you do, for the voice of Superman, I sort of channeled my older brother's he's an orthopedic surgeon, and he was an Eagle Scout and all these things that I wasn't. I was a bit of a cut up and a ne'er-do-well. I was bad at sports, bad at a lot of things, but I always thought of my brother doing Superman because he was just sort of a Boy Scout and always did the right thing and kind of. There was not a lot of gray areas with him. He was like, but what if? So yeah, I sort of drew on my brother doing that. Any time he sort of had to get, especially sort of things were black and white and very sort of philosophical advice.
Yeah.
Drawing
So then, I don't remember if this was a personal conversation or something I read online at one point, but one of the few complaints anybody ever had about Justice League animation was that Superman would go, ugh, and if he's that tough, he doesn't ever have to grunt. So you probably didn't do nearly as much grunting as Kevin Conroy did throughout that series.
So we're talking the difference between grunting.
Well, like being impacted, being punched.
Oh, impacted.
Yeah.
There's a throwing punch, which is, and then getting hit, which is, which is much more exhale. But it's hard to do actually when you're you have to ask. We had a great voice director named Andrea Romano, and we'd always have to ask her, say, Andrea, am I getting hit or am I throwing the punch? How far away? How far am I flying in the air? And I constantly got electrocuted, which first of all can't feel very good. But the first year or two, I kept saying to Bruce Timm, the head animator and the writer, and I said, Bruce, can you knock it off with the electrocution? Not only does it, Superman's, he needs to toughen up a little bit here, but it's incredibly hard to extend vocally a high-pitched electrocution sound because your vocal cords are constricted. You're going, I mean, it's impossible to do without giving yourself a nodule on your vocal cord. But I would do it, and then they'd have to wait till the end of the session to do it because I couldn't talk after it. But
right.
The other things, yelling, and I can do that all day long, but going, the constriction is hard to do.
Right.
But
it seemed like they went to that more often because I can't recall a lot of moments in the live action Supermans where he was.
No, they just like to do that.
Somehow in animation they felt that was just part of the experience.
Like to draw it. It's fun to draw it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Come on, Gleckler.
I'm working on it. There was another clip I saw where you were talking about, I believe your son said, Dad, did that hurt based on Superman being punched?
Yeah. My dad. I've been doing this for so long. My son, who's now 19, I think he was 4 or 3 or 4 when I first started doing it, and Warner Brothers had this. It's like a kid's outfit. You put on the cape and a plastic thing where you punch the S and it would like, let's go, to the moon, or whatever. Trace justice in the American way, or whatever. All the things that Superman would say, and he would just run around the house doing that. And I kind of turned to my wife and I went, "This is a surreal moment. This is a surreal moment when your kid is running around and your voice is coming out of his chest." And I think the teacher in preschool asked him what his dad did, and he said, "Oh, my dad's Superman." So that was fun. That doesn't get to happen very often. He doesn't say that now, but he did.
Michael Keaton had a story when Batman came out. His son was really young, and they went to the premiere, and they made him a Batman suit. That he went to the premiere and just kept it under the chair, and whether Michael was putting these words in his son's mouth exactly or not, he's like, "Just Dad, it's there if we need it." So just building on that, it seems to me that I think that the animations have a stronger emotional attachment than some of the live work I've seen.
You mean in general?
The audience response and such.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, and I think I don't know the reason for it, but it's less. You guys could probably tell me what you think, but I think in an animated format, it's a little cleaner and less distracting, and you focus on the emotion of the characters in the animation. It's sort of more neutral and less specific as a live action as it's, you know what I mean? I think you're able to, you listen more to the voice and you can get lost in the animation a little more easily, I think.
Yeah, well, it was Justice League, but it wasn't Superman. It was the one where Arthur's brother wants to claim the throne, so he chains him to an underwater volcano, and he stabs a knife in the volcano and just hangs Arthur's son there.
Yeah.
My son was old enough to carry and talk, and it was a rerun, so I was going to turn off the TV, and I'm reaching for the remote, and he goes, "Dad, is that baby going to be okay?"
The baby going to be okay.
So I picked him up, and I'm like, "Well, let's find out." Because, you don't blow that moment as a parent.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think that I've asked some reasonable questions, and I'm not asking that you ask unreasonable questions, but I think we're ready for some arm stretches and raises. And who's got a question for Mr. George Newbern?
There's one right here.
Supergirl's got you.
Sure.
Oh, she's first. What a surprise.
What do you prefer, live action acting or animated voice acting?
It depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling like I don't want to go out in public and just be seen or take a shower, animation. But on camera stuff is fun too because you can, live action is, you see more people. You go on a set and there's 100 people there and you're there for 14 hours and it feels like a real job. It feels like you're tired at the end of the day. Animation is super duper fun and the people are very nice, but it's a little more solitary. You're either by yourself or just with an engineer and maybe one other actor or something maybe. So it's not as hard. It doesn't take as long. Blah blah blah. But they're both very different. Both different skill sets, I would say, but funner and easier maybe. But longer term on camera, I feel a little more like a man, like I went to work. Yeah.
I'll ask you a quick question in between here. I've listened to other voice actors at conventions that do more anime, et cetera, and you'll ask them about some aspect, and like, well, I wish I could give you a better answer, but on those, they're like, boom, 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 2 takes, moving on, go, 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 done. Was Justice League it sounds like you had to give more direction about, am I this, am I that? Was it a little more relaxed, or was it?
Well, it's usually very, everyone's really lovely and nice, but you're reading off a script, and a lot of times they just give you the pages, it'll say line 1, Superman says, get to the watchtower. And I'll say, Andrea, what's happening? How far away is the person? Am I angry? Because they don't give you in a script, a lot of times you get the editorial comments and you know what it is in context, but when you do especially in a video game, they have to tell you exactly what's going on. The video games are exhausting, but unless we get the whole script, which we usually don't, we just get the line and you have to ask, And if the voice director is good, they'll say, okay, we're in the watchtower and everyone in the league is here except, Green Lantern flies in at the end and, this volcano's about to explode and it's really tense and Superman says, it's line 5 or whatever and I'll do the thing. Or it's an intimate thing between, Wonder Woman and Superman. They're just chatting quietly off to the side. But what was the question again? No.
The question was, are you listening to what I'm saying, or are you just?
Yeah, no. I'm just talking to myself.
I was asking if like in anime they do rapid fire.
Yeah. So it's not that rapid fire. If everyone's together, sometimes we would have recordings where there would be all 10 or 15 people, especially during Justice League Unlimited. We'd have Mark Hamill and everybody in the world would be there. And that was usually quick. We do 2 takes of each one. She'd try to keep the pace up. But if you're by yourself, sometimes you get to take a little more time.
Very good. Yeah. Supergirl?
Okay. I know that Andrea Romano preferred to have all the actors in the room together.
Yeah.
And one of the things about the DCAU is they didn't exactly skimp on voice actors. They had quality people like yourself. Who was probably maybe 1, 2, 3 people who you got to work with, who you were kind of starstruck with in the animated world?
In the animated world, let's see, who do we have? Mark Hamill was the first one that I just couldn't believe because I've just idolized Mark Hamill. I just think he's so great and so funny. I'm trying to think of who else. My buddy Chris McDonald, who I idolize, is a good buddy of mine. He did a couple of voices on that. Who else? Clancy Brown. We both went to the same school. He's a longtime old friend, but I'm just obsessed with his voice. And his head is like this big. And when he opens his mouth, it's like his whole head vibrates. It's like Lex Luthor. Like it vibrates in a way. People are just born with parts, their head, the way their vocal cord and their head is attached, and they have a natural resonance that you just have or you don't have. So those are some names that I.
Did you get to work in the room, stare down Superman versus Lex? Just let's go. Act this thing crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Another question?
Sir, in your time doing the Superman voice work, do you have a favorite or most memorable line or even episode that you'd like to share?
You know, it's the cardboard speech. I think is one of my favorite ones, and I forgot which episode is it. Is it the cardboard speech is from? Sometimes I feel like I live in a world of cardboard. I believe it's for the man who has everything.
Pummeling
the
Pummeling
last
Dark Side.
episode.
Is it the last episode?
He's pummeling Dark Side.
Yeah.
Changed it.
That one I love that speech because I thought it spoke to the sort of his dilemma of being human and yet he breaks things. It's hard to be.
That one is
hard to be him. Right? Yeah.
That one's brilliant A to B. You got that, and then he's Superman just waiting.
Yeah.
Punches him, waits, punches him
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
It was masterfully done.
Yeah, it was fun.
Another question is pending.
When Final Fantasy VII came out, how did it feel to voice Sephiroth again?
Well, I didn't actually. They recast the entire cast. This is Final Fantasy. It's a different. But Final Fantasy VII, they recast everybody. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm not resentful at all about it. Completely. No.
Now, I did ask if there's something we don't want to talk about. Was that it?
That might have been it. No, that's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine.
Where'd you go? Oh, it's over there.
Hi, quick question, and
Yeah.
you might have covered it earlier. When you have to voice Bizarro, what kind of direction do you get?
There wasn't it. They just said Bizarro. This is waiting Bizarro. It was just kind of a nutty, the Superman with about 10 too many beers and hanging upside down. Maybe I don't know.
He might have been a little more of the
Yeah.
constrictive aspect.
Maybe yeah. Try to have to listen to that voice again. But yeah. It was fun.
She's searching. Oh,
I'm going to video this for my wife who's not here. We just finished binge watching Scandal.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like amazing.
Oh, fun.
I mean,
Thank
it
you.
was like so.
Thank you.
Anyway, was it hard like to do the voice of Superman, Truth, Justice, American Way,
Yeah.
and to go and play
A
psychopath?
psychopath and assassin. It was
you did great. It was awesome. Anyway.
It's crazy. If you do it as long as I've been doing it, you're lucky enough to keep doing it. You hope that the parts you play, you get to cycle and try other things. So I'm either really, really good or really, really bad. I've on that show Scandal, I played just a for hire assassin who just tortured people and did all kinds of things Superman would never do. But it was fun. It was fun, and I got to be funny, and it went for 7 years, which was really nuts.
that's good.
But a lot of the procedural shows, all the CSIs and NCISs and Law and Orders, I think I've done all those, and every one of them I played a rapist or a terrorist. Whatever, just psychopathically awful people. But then, Father the Bride, a really good guy, and Superman, a good guy. So, who knows what's next? I don't know. I don't know.
This guy thinks he's
It's
Superman.
fun. We had a great time. Doing this game.
Another one. Coming around the corner.
Was it any different when you did the Justice Lord Superman compared to the regular one?
Did you say Justice Lord?
Yeah.
You have to refresh my memory.
The
I
alternate
did see that.
dimensions.
What was it a different voice? I can't remember, to be honest.
It's definitely a different attitude. He was I'm going to lobotomize everybody to stop him.
I am not remembering the difference. If you could bring it up on your phone, I could remember. Pardon?
He was the evil Superman from another world.
Oh,
Another dimension,
okay, yes. Now I know what you're talking about. I've done several sort of alternate Superman types for some video games and some movies, and I get them a little confused. But yes, I remember that now, and I basically just sort of tried to focus on a Superman who has no patience and is someone who doesn't give people a second chance. And he was just that kind of the darker side of Superman, not overly angry, but just kind of nihilist, kind of the cynical guy, which is not really the Superman that I know and love, but it's, they're trying to do different things with the story, so it's fun.
Yeah, did you consider that was fun to be Superman, but different Superman?
Yeah, right.
Another one? Because I got one. But I'll wait.
When you were growing up, were you a comic book or Superman fan, or did that come as you got into the role?
You know what? Growing up, I was into comic books, but I wasn't necessarily into Superman as much. I was into Mad magazine. I was a fanatic about Mad. I loved Cracked magazine. I loved the Archies. I loved what was it called? It's called Weird, or something. Yeah, was it called Weird? Creepy, yeah, creepy. I would read at camp, summer camp. I would just read comic books like that. But I was not into Superman at the time. I mean, I think I read some, but I wasn't as focused on it. So I went in for this audition because Tim Daly was busy, and he was doing Wings, and my agent said, go down to so and so on Burbank Boulevard. There's an audition for an animated thing. I didn't know I just thought it was a one episode thing, and I get there and it's Superman. Oh, Superman. And I just did the speech, and then I'm here 18 years later talking about this. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, as I've done it over the years, it's been, fantastic, and what an opportunity to get to be part of an international icon that people love. It's a gift. It's unlike any of the other jobs I've ever done because it resonates with people in a way that no other job can. Really, So I'm really, really, really lucky.
Coming around, round two.
Hey, we got another question. If you don't mind. Do you and the other Supermen, as it were, ever hang out and kind of?
We don't. I hang out more with the other leaguers because I see them at these conventions, and I met Tom Welling, I guess a year ago or something. Mm-hmm. Hopefully see him again tomorrow. But I mostly probably see Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl and Kevin, who does Batman, and Michael Rosenbaum. We see each other socially and at these things. So we do kind of hang out. We don't text chain, we don't text each other. Carl Lumley's a lovely guy, I love Carl. Andre Romano, talk to her all the time. So she's great. Yeah.
As she's coming around, I got one for you if this is not too personal. Father of the bride and the situation with in-laws. Was there any art imitates life imitates art?
Well, my name is George. Steve Martin's character's name is George. And my late father-in-law's name was George. So, except my father, actually, my wife's dad looked like Robert De Niro and acted like Robert De Niro. Not that he was like Steve Martin, but he was, oh man, he did not. He liked me kind of, but he was definitely like, hey, actor guy, how you going to support my daughter, and all that stuff. So, it's just a nice man, God bless him.
We got one?
Hi, when you were briefing on Friends, how was the experience working with the cast and crew over there at the time?
Great. I went to school with David Schwimmer. We both went to Northwestern. Also, Clancy Brown went to Northwestern. And I'd known Matt Perry for a long time. And Lisa Kudrow was my improv teacher at the Groundlings in Los Angeles right before she got that job. I mean, she just didn't show up one week. We're like, where's Lisa? Where's her teacher? And then and the other people I just sort of had seen socially. And I was supposed to actually screen test for David Schwimmer's part when it came up, but I took a different pilot. Smart move. Well, it's not as bad as my friend Craig Bierko was literally offered Matt Perry's part, and he turned it down for another pilot that didn't go. And so I know, but he's still in therapy over it, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, we had a great time. I'll tell you, when you do a sitcom, most of the writing in sitcoms is just terrible. And you guys can watch some of these sitcoms on TV, and they'll stay on for 6-7 years, and you can hear the audience laughing, like someone's just like going, and it's just not funny. But you watch it long enough, and it just kind of becomes comfortable. It's like, oh, look, facts of life. Not that funny, but I enjoy watching those people talk. But Friends was a different animal. It's just like, MASH was a different animal, and Everybody Knows Raymond's a different animal. Seinfeld's a different animal. They're I don't know. you could probably Curb Your Enthusiasm, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
These are shows that are really funny and well written, and you genuinely laugh. Friends was the writers write things that are genuinely funny, and the actors are all excellent. So when you come on as a guest star, I did 3 episodes of that show. It's like you can just exhale a little bit because you don't have to work so hard, and you know there's like you can feel it in the audience on the show night when you shoot it. Like the laughs come like sort of in waves, so you just kind of go, wow, and I can just kind of not have to work hard at this. You just sort of do what they give you and connect with the other actors, and it's going to be funny. And you just, but usually you have to work really hard, and you kind of, do the joke, and the writers are going, and they're kind of desperately laughing. And the audience just knows, you guys know, if something's not funny, it's just not funny. But that was a rare job where people were funny, and it was a great experience. So.
Hi. I was just wondering, did you notice an uptick in the writing from season 1 to season 2 of Justice League? Whenever Dwayne McDuffie was added on?
Yeah, I did actually. It's also when a show doesn't know whether it's going to keep going. After the end of the first season, usually that's when they go, hey, the show's well received, and then they get better writers jump in, and then usually that's when that happens, and that's exactly right. I think you're spot on.
Hey, George.
Hey.
Do you prefer stage acting, TV acting, or movie acting?
I
know you've done them all.
Yeah, I've done them all, and I started out doing musicals. I was a ballet dancer for 6 years and a musical theater person in Chicago and in Los Angeles and New York and stuff. So, but if you to compare them all, they're all just the same thing, just different muscles. I think theater work is harder, and it takes longer, and it's as an adult, as you get on in years, it's harder to maintain that kind of stamina. But it's super fun, and I would think that film and TV is the most lucrative of all of them. It's a good way to pay for all your children's college bills and things like that. But animation is its own special little corner over here. It's still acting, but it's more intimate, short spurts of work, and actually the loveliest people are in animation. The nicest people are in animation because there's no BS. They don't have to pretend to be a hootie house. But everyone's just lovely in animation. That'd be the biggest difference.
Hey George, do you have
Hey.
do you have any behind the scenes tidbits about bloopers or anything that went really wrong or really crazy that you want to share?
During what?
Anything like, especially live action, maybe Friends or go back to designing one even.
I'm trying to think. I remember when we do Father of the Bride, Steve Martin was my first day on the set, and Kim Williams and I were behind the front door, and they shot it in order, so we were supposed to come to the door and meet him for the first time, and Kim and I were like, I'd already done a bunch of movies, and I was like, I cannot believe that Steve Martin and Diane Keaton are on the other side of this door, and we have to, but it kind of worked for the scene because I was nervous and all the rest of it. But right before we did the first scene, I had something in my eye, and I kind of rubbed it, and I think I scratched it. I got like some kind of something on my eyeball, and it like scratched my eye. And of course, it's blinking and it's watering, right? And the light goes on the door to open the door for the queue. I open the door and I'm like, hey, it's back. It's so nice to meet you. And my eyes like doing that. And so they cut. They go, hey, is you okay? Blah, blah, blah. You dry? And they go, okay. And so they put the stuff in the eye, and it calms down a little bit. And right before the next day, the doors, they have a little light that goes on. If you can't really hear, so they have dialogue on the other end of the doors. And so you have to watch your cue because you can't hear it, right? So the light goes off. Right before the light goes off, Steve Martin goes, whatever you do, don't think about your eye. And of course, we opened the door, everyone was dying laughing, and it started. But he knew, oh, this young actor's coming out here, you're freaking out about his eyes, so we had to do it.
That was some nice channeling right there.
That was good.
Whatever you do.
It's fun.
Another one.
You mentioned Craig Bierko. I
Uh-huh.
was wondering if you met him through musical theater, because I know he's done Broadway.
Yeah. He was my roommate at Northwestern. There's a whole lot of Northwestern connections. Dave Schwimmer and Dermot Mulroney was our classmate. And, Steve. Goodness gracious. Colbert. Steve Colbert was in our group of 8. There were like 8 or 9 of us, and Steve Colbert was absolutely silent. He never knew he was funny. He wasn't a theater major, but he hung out with other theater major people, English major, and then suddenly 10 years later down the road was like, wow, Steve Colbert is hilarious.
He was plotting.
Yeah, he was, yeah, so. What was the, now where was it? What did I just say?
Did you know?
Did I know? Craig and I were roommates at school, and then also when we got out of school, and he lives in Newbern. We talk all the time.
Another one.
Hey, question for you. Given the state of the world today,
Yeah.
and how cynical people are, and how much bad stuff is going on, what do you feel Superman can represent in these times, the 21st century?
Wow, that's a great question. I would hope that Superman would be sort of emblematic, symbolic, whatever the word is, of common sense, the center way, the right way, the non-spin way, listen, this is the right thing to do, and when something is obviously wrong, we don't pretend that it's not wrong, for whatever side of the political spectrum you want to be on. But the obvious ones are pretty obvious, but I would think that the best takeaway from Superman it would be in today's world, don't disengage, keep engaged, and just because you disagree, don't hate you don't have to. What's the word? You can disagree without hating the person or getting in a fight. You can disagree, but be civil and let's get about our business.
I think that's your speech in the episode where Superman was like, I'm done, and Green Arrow's like, no, we still need you, and then he's like, okay, well, we can do this. We can do this.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
find that middle.
Yeah. That's one of the. I would say Superman is not hyper political. I think he's anti-political. It's just like let's take a breath and come to the center and talk about this and let's not go to our corners, basically.
Yeah, George, take you back to the sitcom question again.
Yeah.
What was it like? Can you share a little bit about working on Designing Women with Dixie Carter and that cast?
Wow.
It's just a wonderful cast.
Wow, that was such a great experience. It was my first job in LA, and I'm from Arkansas. The producer, Harry Thomason, did a TV movie called The Blue and the Gray. It was in northern Arkansas, and I got my SAG union card doing it. It was so fun. And when I came out to LA, his wife, Linda Bloodwood Thomason, wrote the show, and they were like 4 episodes into it, and I had an audition, and it was my first audition in LA, and I went in there and I was like, oh my God, Harry. So I had an Arkansas connection right away. And then I got the job, and then Harry called me and said, I just want you to know that I didn't give it to you because you're from Arkansas. I gave it to you because you were the best person that came in. So that was fun. Dixie Carter played my mother, who's, that whole show really spoke to me, really lovely people. And Dixie passed away about 6 or 7 years ago. And it was just a really smart, funny group of ladies, and kind of ahead of his time in many ways. Sort of talking about politics that was not talked about at that time, and also because it was from the South, which was nice because people think everyone from the South is backwards in many ways, but that's not true, clearly. But some are, but some are everywhere. But it was such a lovely experience because the writing was so funny and good, and they were lovely, and what's not to like about that as a first job in Hollywood. So.
Yeah. Do you have a comparison between that and let's skip forward to Friends, like just in the production sense of how a TV show was made?
Well, that was probably, there was 15 years or something in the difference, and the sensibility was different. Comedy was a little sort of meaner, kind of more raunchy. Designing One was still on the edge of being sort of talking around issues that that were maybe on the racy side, but Friends was just flat out, they just went for it right there. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, have you and Clancy Brown ever applied for the same, or auditioned for the same job?
I'm sure we have, and I didn't know it, and he didn't know it either. They sent out lists, and you go do it, and then.
Has he ever told you there can be only one?
No, that's fun. No, that's it.
Here we go.
What was it like working with Mark Hamill?
You know, what I was really surprised about mostly is that Mark Hamill, his range with the Joker, he's just all over the keys of the piano with that thing, and I was just like, whoa, because that's, you know, I just remembered him as a younger person in Star Wars, and I just thought he was sort of this ingenue voice, and in real life he's this sort of theatrical, like kind of really, you know, boisterous person. I was like, who is this guy? So that was the biggest surprise. I was like, what the heck? It's really fun. He's hilarious.
You sound like the kind of guy that spent maybe a little more time than you did.
No, he did a lot of that. Yeah. Well, it sounded a little bit like Fleabag. I was like, oh, Fleabag.
So you did an episode of one of my favorite shows, Boston Legal.
Oh.
What was that experience like, specifically working with James Spader?
Well, I should give you the sanitized version that it was lovely, but he was actually not that fun to work with. Yeah, because I mean, there's an unspoken, when you're a regular on a TV show, all the guest actors that come in, you just be nice to everybody because they're coming in cold and they don't know how things work and da 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 da. So I came in as a guest person, and he's not that much older than me, and I've done just as much as this guy, and he was just not kind. I hate to say it, I don't want to say it. But it was hard because I went up on my words a couple times, and he would just go, do that kind of thing. I was like, wait a minute, come on, man, it's just, you know, it's a speech like this, give me a second. So that was my experience with James Spader, but I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Yeah. But he's not the one.
I didn't have a good experience with him. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not going to pretend.
He's not the one we invited to the show this year.
No, exactly.
How did it feel to leave Justice League with Kevin Conroy and the Allies, and then come back for Injustice and the Enemies?
It gives you a little more to work with. It's fun when that happens. Conflict is the best thing for comedy or drama. That's great. Give me more. Superman needs more conflict. You know, he can be, you know, accused of being too, you know, everything's bright and cheery, but it's good that he can have something to butt his head up against, especially an ally or supposed friend. You know?
Hi, George.
Hello.
Oh, I was just wondering, you were in season 8, that was between 2010 and 2011 of NCIS. You played in an episode called Dead Air.
Which is this the one with Mark Harmon?
Yeah, oh yes.
I think I remember something about a bomb. Was there a bomb involved in the garage?
Yeah. In the baseball field.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just wondering because there's been several different people in the last few years who've been on NCIS.
Yeah. There's listen if you're.
So how was that? Everybody?
It was fine. Mark Harmon's a lovely guy. Such a lovely guy.
That's what everybody said.
Oh, what a lovely guy. And it was actually he and his wife were parents at my kid's school, so I saw them at the street, just school fairs and stuff. Lovely guy.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, really great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Living in New Jersey. I was told to ask you about living in New Jersey. I was told you lived in New Jersey.
Oh, I did. I lived in Princeton, New Jersey for a year.
Over
there, New Jersey. Who's from New Jersey here? Anyone? Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's right too. Yeah. Yeah, it's lovely parts of it. Yes, there's Secaucus next. But touch it next. Yeah, right on the train.
There she is.
When you got the role of Superman, did you do any specific prep work prior to starting, like reading any old material, studying any other actors, or did you just kind of go in and want to do your own take?
You know, I wanted to do my own thing with it, and I knew Tim had done it, but I purposely didn't want to listen to Tim because I didn't want to have it in my head. No, I think my only remembrance of an animated Superman was from Super Friends from the 70s, right? And I said, guys look like this, Superman. It's very, very, the kind of cartoony voice. So I didn't want to do any of that. And most the Bruce Timm and Andre Romano said they just wanted to be as kind of realistic as possible. Not realistic in the sense that you would see Adult Swim today, where people are just like, just kind of like super conversation. But it was more realistic, not too conversational, but more realistic. I don't know how to, if you know what I'm talking about. But the tone was not cartoony, although it was animated, and it's a kind of a fine balance to find. You know, but I didn't. Yeah, I wanted to not. Yeah, the George Reeves, the previous Supermans, I didn't want to think about that.
My fiance was just wondering how you managed to get the role of Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII.
Sephiroth, I got a call to go do ADR. They call it, it's audio dubbing, ADR, audio dubbing. I don't know what the R, recording. Audio dubbing, recording, yes. The ADR for the Japanese voice. And Sephiroth, I don't know if you guys know, Final Fantasy is sort of a big franchise, and it's games and a couple movies and this, that, and the other. And the Japanese voice, American actors have to go in and do a lot of anime, but with the they have to match the lip flap of the animated, because it's expensive to go back and redo the animation. So if the Japanese actor for Sephiroth goes something like that, which I have no idea what he said, but I'll read the line. It said, "Cloud, get on your knees, Cloud," or something. But I would have to go, "Cloud, get on your knees." Like, you'd have to kind of have it in an arrested sort of weird way that you would never say normally, or even a normal animation thing, but because American actors have to match Japanese anime or animation, it can sound kind of stilted. You'll notice in all the Spirited Away, is it Kurosawa?
Yeah.
Right. Kurosawa? Is that his name? The animator from Japan? Kiyosaki. But you notice all the American, you hear all the American voices, they kind of sound like this, and it's kind of stilted because they're matching the Japanese lip flaps, and it makes the American, the English version sound a little, it just takes on its own thing, which is kind of cool in a weird way. But so to answer your question, I got a call to do the post work on Sephiroth, and I thought it was a one-day thing, and that turned into 18 years. So, you know, sometimes you have a good Tuesday, and that's it.
So first off, excellent job on Scandal.
Thank you, man.
Oh my God, I didn't know whether to hate your character or not.
I know, right? I consider that a compliment. I think that it's a compliment.
But or maybe memory. What was it like for you the first time your son heard Dad's voice as Superman on television?
Well, he kind of looked at the TV and looked at me and looked at the TV again and back to me. Because we didn't want to tell him. He just sitting on the couch. It was so long ago. It was the double take was hilarious. Dad? Yep. What? Yeah, it's fun to see little kids with a voice come out of a TV that you've done. I mean, half the things I wouldn't want my children to see because it's either too violent or something. But it is fun when you can have your kids see something that you've done.
There was a line where Superman was scolding someone. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry." Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back again.
Hello.
Also, I just realized that you were in Adventures of Babysitting.
Adventures of Babysitting, yeah. That was right after the Christopher Reeve job, yeah.
Do you have any funny moments on set, or did you do your own stunts?
Did my own stunts? I did on the Adventures of Babysitting. I don't think I had any stunts. I had to drive a Jeep, but I could do that. I drove a Jeep and I walked around and talked. I didn't do any stunts, but
those are special skills on the resume. You can drive Jeep.
You can drive a Jeep with an accent. My God, I just worked with Elizabeth Shue on a TV movie with Disney. Where I played a rock star and a normal guy, and we switched places. It was called Double Switch. It was like in the late 80s. It was a really fun job. My gosh, that was fun. So I met Lisa from that, and then I went to go work for Lisa in Adventures of Babysitting like 2 months after that. So it was really awesome. But no, behind the scenes stories for Adventures of Babysitting. I'm trying to think. Nothing springs to mind other than I remember Leo D'Onofrio, who played Thor in that. You know, he had the thing. This was before he was Leo D'Onofrio, I guess, and he had a big blonde wig, and I remember thinking, that guy's really cool. He's so much cooler than anybody here. That was one of my memories of that.
Was it W.C. Fields' Don't Work with Children and Animals?
Oh, Children and Animals, yeah.
You're working with kids in that one. That part was okay?
Yeah, no, it was great. The kids weren't that young. You mean they were showbiz kids. They were very savvy. They had
I'm the one with all the fun questions. Here's another, you've been given injustice rather.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about sort of in recent years this growing fascination
with making Superman darker, his eyes always flaring
Mhm,
red,
mhm.
he's always angsty, and moving further and further away from the more hopeful version of the
Yeah. Well, I just think that's a mirror up to society, I guess, right? I think, people think when something's edgy, it must be better. It doesn't necessarily have to be better, but I think it's just a function of people trying to change it up and see what that feels like and looks like. But I think it ultimately always comes back to the archetype of Superman is not that, and it'll always come back to the meme for him. They're just exploring, writers, actors, trying to push the limits of it.
How many articles out there? Is Superman still relevant in today's world?
Yeah, right.
Look right out there and look at each
No,
other.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I think we need Superman now more than ever.
Out of the main cast in Justice League, who is your favorite to work with?
Let's see. My favorite to work with. Well, is this being recorded? No. Well, I'll tell you. There's really and I'm not lying. I had a blast with every single person, but I especially love giggling and causing problems with Kevin and Phil Lamar. We would just literally giggle and tell jokes in between, and we would have to be told to shut up all the time. All the time. Michael Rosenbaum sometimes, but he was actually, we started it and then Smallville blew up, so he was up in Vancouver, or I think it was Vancouver, the whole time, and then he would come back down for some sessions, but it was mostly Phil and Kevin and I giggling and acting like 12-year-old girls.
Oh, here we go.
Hello.
Hello.
What's going on?
What's your favorite superhero? What's your favorite version of Superman?
My favorite version of Superman. I liked Superman. I loved him in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, but I also liked the Injustice Superman. I thought that was really well done. I felt like it had a lot to do and fully fleshed out, active Superman.
Very good.
Good question.
And I think we got about 8 minutes left. New Jersey's got something to say.
Jersey.
Shocker. Yeah.
Careful.
You mentioned you took a pilot instead of doing Friends. Was that the one with Hal Linden?
Yes, it was. Well, I'll tell you how that goes. Jimmy Burrows, the guy who directed all of the Cheers and worked with the Cheers creator. He directed the pilot that I did that got picked up, Friends, and the one my buddy Craig did. So we all thought, hey, Jimmy Burrows, every pilot he does gets picked up, so you can't miss. Just pick one. So he picked the other one, not Friends, and I did the Hal Linden thing because I thought, the Hal Linden thing's going to go. That's going to go for a long time. It did. It went for 18 episodes. Craig's did get picked up, and then Friends went for 20 million years, and they have a planet called Planet Friends. It's like just past Mars. Yeah, so it was a big hit. Yeah.
If you could be any hero or villain, not Superman, Marvel or DC, like what would you go for?
My gosh. That's a question. I'm gonna have to.
Broke Superman.
Do what?
You
broke Superman. Yes, you did it. You indeed just broke Superman. I am completely broken. There's not really one super hero that I think that I aspire to be. Feel pretty comfortable and happy that I do Superman. But there are parts of others that I like. Something about Flash makes me laugh because he gets to be a wise ass and he can run faster than anybody. Batman's cool because he just is laid back and he gets to do whatever he wants. He can always get away with anything and be so. I would say some hybrid between Batman and Flash is where I live. Or Spider-Man. Perfect. Spider-Man is great. That's a great one.
Take all the scripts in the room and just shift over one person.
Yes.
Clancy Brown is now Superman. You're Lex Luthor. Let's have some fun.
That's right.
Question.
Good Newbern? So besides signing a bunch of autographs with really honest, grateful, cool people the rest of the weekend, what you got coming up?
Let's see, I did an episode of a show called, it's a live action for Hulu with the guy who did Modern Family. It's called Reboot, and it's Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele, he's in it, and Johnny Knoxville and Judy Greer. I just did an episode of that a couple weeks ago, and then I did DC Superman streaming universe. What is it? DC Unlimited. What is it called? DC Universe streaming blah blah blah. So I've done a couple of those. I just did another one that's out now. That's really quite cool. It's really quite cool. And then another one for Warner Bros. Called Dokken, the Dokken series, D-O-K-K-E-N. I don't know what it is, but it's a Superman thing for Warner Bros.
Don't worry, it's going to run for 18 years.
Yeah. And then I do a lot of audiobooks. If you want to go to audible.com, I've done over 400 audiobooks that I've narrated. So that's sort of if I'm not doing anything else, I go to my booth and I narrate. I do a ton of narration.
Right there. Your booth. Yeah, if you do an audiobook, do you have your own place you can do this?
I have a booth at my house in a separate little detached little. It's a shed basically, but if I say studio, it makes it sound fancy.
Well,
it's just a booth in a shed that's soundproof.
The difference is whether you make your own coffee or you have it brought to you.
Oh, I make my own, my friend. I make my own. But yeah, no. So the narration is I get up and narrate, and then if it's on camera, I go do an on-camera thing where I do an audition in my little booth, or I do a commercial, or whatever I do. I just got to keep it moving.
Are you more comfortable at this point in your career life staying that busy, or are you like, well, yeah, when I want to work on it?
It's great with any kind of job. You want to work enough to where you don't have to work as much as you don't want to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So no, I pretty much say yes to everything. So I'm not sitting around. I'll do anything. I like to stay busy. So I'm working actually at this funnel place, the Super Nacho place. After we're done.
Awesome.
It's just a 2-hour shift because I had some downtime. So
I give you the wink and say a little extra cheese on that.
Yes, a little extra cheese on it.
4 minutes.
Can you say, okay, like you did when you were being Danny?
Oh. Okay. Or something like that. I can't remember. Okay. Yeah. Door slam. Yeah. That's good.
Any questions?
I'll give you my Batman impression in one word.
Let's hear it. Cash. What's that from?
That's for the man who has everything. Oh, you didn't get him gift certificates, did you? No.
Cash. That's good. Yeah, good.
How we doing, everybody? Two more questions?
No worries, yeah.
Hi, George.
Hello.
How did Saw 6 come about?
My manager represents the producer of that show, and she said, "Hey, you want a job? They fly out and play this part for 3 days." And I was like, "Okay," like I do, and I got on a plane and go. And I didn't know anything about this. I don't like scary movies. First of all, I don't like to be scared. I don't like to be scared. Some people like it, but I have never seen Saw 6. I just did my scene and I walked away. But apparently it's a really terrifying movie.
I understand.
I like it. No. You guys like scary movies? No?
Yes.
You like scary movies? What's behind liking scary movies? Is it you like the adrenaline? You like the adrenaline rush because you know you're not going to really get hurt? So that feels good?
Sure.
Or you all just really mean.
I wake up from a bad dream and I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad that's not real. And I don't want to go pay money to go feel like that. But anyway, that's just
Hi.
Hello.
What's something you would say to someone who's aspiring to be an actor?
I would say if you think you want to be an actor or a voice actor or anything like that, I would say get into an acting class and audition for a play and find out if you like it. And if you like it, just because you like something and have a passion for it doesn't mean you have to make your living at it. That's one thing I've learned as I've gotten older. Sometimes your passion and your ability to make your living at it, they don't always happen. They don't always line up. But you can still have a job where you make money and a job that you love doing at the same time. So, and that doesn't mean one is more successful than the other. It just means you get to do a lot of things in your life. So if you love to act, get into an acting class, get into a play, and see if you love it, and then just see where it takes you. And if you make a living, if you get to make a living as an actor, that's fantastic. It's just gravy. But I know lots of people who are so passionate about it or art or music, and they just do it because they love it, and they don't have to pay their rent with it because sometimes it's just too hard, and sometimes people don't pay you enough to do that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it and learn to do it, and it makes you a better person, it makes you a more interesting person, it makes you more connected to creation and all of us. Better to just do that.
That is now my favorite Superman speech.
All right then.
I think we have to about wrap it up here. I want to thank everyone for coming out. On your feet, hands together, Mr. George Newbern.